dead and dying birds everywhere.
There had been a truck crash. A truck had crashed on an embankment on the corner, and it was carrying about 108,000 day-old chicks.
The callousness of them giving up and just bulldozing them into a pile.
The day started off taking a friend out to a sanctuary. Had the day out there, beautiful day out there with the animals, eating lots of food, and yeah, all up an awesome day. We heard about the crash on the way home from the sanctuary, looking through phones and seeing the articles that there had been a truck crash. To be brutally honest, I was really tired, and it was Michelle who was insisting that we go. And even though I had said to her, look, it's been cleaned up, and she didn't believe it.
In the media report, we had read that they'd cleaned everything up and that there was nothing, no bodies or lives left there, so I was a bit reluctant, but Michelle was quite insistent, so we went out there.
There were chicks lodged in different parts of machinery from impact and stuff like that, and there was a pile of rubble that had been cleared into one spot, and in that pile of rubble there was like cheeping. We could hear the birds inside still alive.
Stop. It was a big truck that had crashed, so there were big sheets of metal that we had to move. And obviously we didn't want to crush any of the chickens. Watching some of the really injured ones pass away was really hard.
They were just left there like they were nothing, and they're not nothing. And these things are never talked about, and they're always hidden. Look what the reports were saying. They were saying that it had been cleaned up, and it was far from cleaned up because there was hundreds and hundreds of them left. Some alive, some dead, and some dying, you know. But I just want to save them because it was just the right thing to do.
Who was making the decision about the welfare of the animals on site, and who made the decision to leave those animals whom the rescuers found on site when they appeared many hours after the incident?
Just heaps and heaps of chirping. Chicks everywhere. Some half buried, some stuck in the wreckage. It was immediately obvious that they had just stopped their clean-up and left.
Getting closer. Then when we realised that they were in the big piles of dirt, that's when we had to sort of, dig carefully, find them through there.
Yes, look at you.
I started taking the photos on the day. I'd had my camera because we were out at the sanctuary. I'm always taking photos out there anyways. And I had my camera with me, and I tried to do the picking up of the chicks and taking the photos at the same time. It was a digital SLR, so it wasn't with my phone or anything like that. And I ended up just, again, prioritising, and I just sort of put the camera down.
In that way, we were fortunate that we could get to them, because the people doing the cleanup, said near enough is good enough and left, although there were clearly many, many survivors. So they had an opportunity that many other truck crash victims don't get.
fucking disgusting. There's photos that pretty much every newspaper cut out of a guy standing on chickens. The only one, I think, was the Daily Mirror that had a photo of the guy standing on them. Their whole thing was, well, we saved a certain percentage, so that's good enough. And it's not.
It would not surprise me if, I mean, something happened where someone failed in their duty of care to these animals, and we know that live animals were buried alive. So if we have a situation where people were in attendance, it was broad daylight, and if responsible entities such as the council and the local land services or the transport company were there, and yet we have a situation where many day-old chicks were buried alive, then it would not surprise me if something such as was depicted in that photograph occurred.
Pretty much the first thing that we did was call Bede, obviously because he specialises in caring for birds. We were pretty sure he would want to take them, so we lined that up pretty quickly.
Well, I didn't quite know. All I heard was that there was a truck that had crashed with chicks, and then later on I heard they were day-old chicks, and for the life of me I was thinking, well, why are day-old chicks on a truck to begin with? I'd never thought about it, and I think that was one of the things that really opened our eyes, that the fact that these chickens, who are broilers, like they're bred for the meat industry, so they're killed at like 7 weeks old, so they hatch in the hatcheries, and then they're loaded onto a truck, and there were 108,000 loaded onto this truck, but some of the ones who arrived here, even after the truck rolled off the road and they were buried, some of the ones that arrived here still had bits of eggshell on their heads. You know, like, so they had hatched that recently. Over the years, I've cared for I've played mother hen to lots of chicks, particularly through school hatching projects. So I kind of knew what they wanted. I'd never had chicks this young. You know, they were only a day old. The way they've been bred, they've just got that skeletal problems because, you know, they've got the skeletons of like a 7-week-old infant, but they've got the bodies of, you know, a chicken that would be, you know, years old. To see them grow the way they've grown, and see them do the stuff that chickens do, like do the dust bathing, do the scratching. They're now, you know, 6 months old. Living with broilers, when I still used to eat animals, chicken was the meat I ate the most. And over the years, when I've ever had broilers in my care, I've sat there and just watched them have a life that they wouldn't have. Like, you know, these guys are now 6 months old, they would have been killed at 7 weeks. So seeing how, yeah, they're enjoying the sun, they enjoy scratching, they love the rain when it does actually rain, and yeah, just seeing them be able to have those experiences that someone like me takes for granted, that's the joy of it.
They were responsible for saving many very vulnerable animals who otherwise would have endured a horrible, slow, painful death.
What would anyone do? To turn up there and there's just chickens, day-old chickens, sitting there chirping.